today, after laying out the Stimuli Acme premise yesterday, we're going to actually start watching this. I'll wait till the 5-minute mark. Maybe this is a good way to do it. So this is like the beginning of my React content phase, which I may or may not do, but again, it's comfortable enough to do while driving. It's just a question of the audio is not going to be the best. I could always edit over parts of it into the video later. I mean, you're just looking at me drive, but yeah, I'm going to start at 5 minutes exactly into the stream for reference points so that people know anytime they join, right, just add 5 minutes to the movie itself or whatever. So even in video form later, right, so it'll be 5 minutes exact that I start watching the video from 000. And then if I start from the middle of it next time, I'll say that, like, movie starts at 5 minutes in the live stream time, but from this point in the movie. Like, there's no other way for me to really reliably do it unless I have like a timer on the screen, which, whatever. This makes it pretty self-explanatory. So from 5 minutes in, again, it's like minute 17, 18 now. So yeah, let me just try to get it set up. This is obviously, he's just not that into you. I have seen it when I was younger, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember it. And like I said, I've seen a couple YouTube short clips on it, and it seems pretty interesting. A couple good scenes, like when they're in the department store, which I won't give away anything, but no, that was the concept I was talking about last time. Like, it's the lack of accountability of the false absolutes in a contrivance state, such as specifying the Stimuli Acme. For example, monogamy. It's not a question of whether you should do it or not. You can do whatever you want, but it reveals the nature of the process. When people cheat or have fights or have issues, how can you claim that to be an absolute? Oh, it's love, it's meant to be, it's a soulmate, but then there's all kind of negative, oh, God is perfect and all-powerful, and these are the two claims that fold on themselves. God is perfect and all-powerful, and God wants certain things, like he doesn't want us to kill each other or hurt each other, but then we still do it. So either God doesn't want those things, or God's not all-powerful. God could be all-powerful, but then he just doesn't care, right? He doesn't care when animals die, he doesn't care when we die. It's the same thing to him, hypothetically. So either God's lazy and doesn't care, or God is not all-powerful and has holes in his weakness and what are in his power. So the movie is this is the version I'm watching on YouTube. I just rented it for $3.99, and in fact, by the time I end up watching the whole thing, I might have to rent it again, because I was supposed to start it yesterday and then I didn't. But then I started playing it anyway yesterday, but I didn't actually watch it. I just played it for a second to test it. So this is going to be, let me raise the quality, even though that might mess something up. So it's 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 17 seconds. So as soon as the live hits 5 minutes, we're going to start from 000, very beginning of the movie. And it's the YouTube version. Again, I don't know to what extent it would differ with that, but it's not like a director's cut or anything. It just seems like the standard thing. The 2 hours, 9 minutes, 17 seconds, starting from 000 in about a minute now. Again, I don't want to have to worry about while I'm watching it, oh, the timestamp. Is it this, I don't know. It's a hard thing to follow along with if you just join in the middle, which is presumably what most people are going to do. So yeah, let's get ready. Again, I like doing this kind of thing, but I don't do it very often. It'll take me at least 2 sessions to do. In fact, it'll probably take me more because of how long it takes me sometimes to start. Because then I'm about to start and then the Starlink has to update or whatever. Alright. So, I don't know if this is 100% accurate to the live either, but I'll just say when it starts, and you know what I mean, but then, okay, so it's like 20 seconds till start, and if something fucks up with the player, then I don't know what to tell you, but I'll give you like a count on the seconds. So it's going to be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. So 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 seconds in, we're playing. We have the little logo, the ladders. I forget, what is this even, New Line Cinema? So we're at 11, 12, 13, so you can just follow along. Again, we're going to watch this nice little comedy, romance, drama, maybe not even comedy, I don't know what it is. A couple good actors in it, though. This is a problem too sometimes with this. I'm using my Bluetooth headphones to listen, so you don't hear the audio of the movie, obviously, and I'm not going to show anything, obviously, but you'll see it in the reflection of the whatever. But it's very quiet, the audio. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I can barely hear it. Yeah, he did those things because he likes you. But this is the problem with the reverse psychology of, if people treat you like shit and call you shit, they like you. That's the way you express it. It means he has a scat fetish. Yeah, to understand the psychology of that. They treat you like shit because they like you, and you put up with it or tolerate it. They like a certain aspect of the inherent stimuli acne, but they don't like the specifics that society expects you to overextend your whole life into it. I like all these different excuses that they're giving to try to cope with it. This one I could explain why he backed out. You see, it's as if you have to justify it. Like, what if you just say, lost your HUD number? Good one. This is starting out pretty good. Eaten by a lion. People just want to have sex, just like animals, but we try to pretend like it's something more so we can control it in a systematic society, and then we are shocked when that doesn't happen. So is it the individual's fault for not adequately overcompensating for that artificial expectation, or is it the fault of your own expectation? Like, you're expecting something unrealistic, and you try so hard to keep up the illusion of it, so you can do that if you want, but has a different kind of headshot in mind. I'm trying to impress you. I'm going to translate this to reality. Like, I'm trying to impress you with how much money I make so that we have sex. Like, it's like there is a certain, again, repression leads to obsession thing to it. Like, you try so hard, which actually shows you you're being controlled by it. You're not at peace. You're not free. Base your whole life around it. Oh, he uses another girl as foreplay. That got him turned on, having dinner with her, and then and then it gets you in the mood for a booty call with the real one. See, if you're aware of the nature of the process, you'd always be weary, like, oh, but you kind of want it to happen, so you pretend you don't want something, because you actually do want it, because people can't face the reality. So you want to, this is a kind of RBO protocol. Or like the guy was in on it and he knew that she was going to win that. once you get something that isn't based on female privilege. But no, so you pretend you don't want it because you do want it, because society and people can't face the reality of being direct or honest, because they're in an artificial controlled state that has to censor reality itself. And so they basically, you pretend you don't want it so you can achieve it in a half-assed state that's rigidly controlled, which you might think is how you want it, but it's really how society wants it. And so imagine a society where everybody's just direct and honest, but you overextend and you kind of compete. Like, oh, I'm so obsessed with it, like an animalistic tendency. I'm so obsessed with sex that I'm willing to base my whole life around it, and that's really a honorable thing to do. These old school ship phones. Or like, again, people's lack of self-awareness, that they're kind of initial-minded, reactionary, so they're controlled by their base tendencies, while they deny their base tendencies, and therefore they're controlled by them instead of being self-aware. And then choosing them. So you defer to invisible authority, like, oh, it's God, it's superstition, it's the devil, it's different things. It's the astrology, not that it's reality. Like, oh, it's your choices, and everything is your control. But you can't acknowledge that, because then you're inhibited by society to not. Can't be friends with you because I'm so secure in my absolute marriage and love of my life. Can't be friends with another human being because of their gender. You have to censor reality itself. This is a perfect example. At least he's upfront about it, though. He had the right instinct. He immediately said, I know that I'm in an artificially contrived relationship that is based in fallacies, so I know I can't be friends with somebody of the opposite gender. Otherwise, that might invalidate the false absolute that I'm posing. Right? That is the correct response. That's basically what he said. I'm just translating it. Bro was just waiting in the car so patiently. No, you're not allowed to say, I can talk to a woman. You're not allowed to talk to women ever. You have to cut out 4 billion people because you're married. That seems perfectly logical and absolute and secure, not at all crazy or imbalanced. But so this is cognitive dissonance, like where you acknowledge the artifice of your contrivance state, but you still practice it as though it's absolute. So you're basically an unthinking moron. This is what I like. I'll talk shit the whole time about how stupid characters are in movies as they represent the reality of society. Because if you do it in reality, woman, she has a name. The subtitle is saying woman. Look how he's so shook. And you would really cheat on Jennifer Aniston. Like, bro is with some men. What is it? Some men drown while others die of thirst. Like, bro is with Jennifer Aniston, and you're thinking about cheating with, I forget what the actress's name even is, the other. Or, oh, they're gonna, like, cheat on each other's spouses, basically, I think. But, like, he has a half right, but you're doing that too. You're lying too. That's a good analogy. Yeah, it's just a process by society to extort you for $45. You got to put the on your tax filing status married. Like, that's what it's really about. But now this encounter is not going to cause her to cheat on him because, oh, he doesn't want to commit and get married. It's that it's going to cause him to cheat on her because... What is the actress's name? I forget, the one at the beginning. Yeah, once again, this sort of false duality or just weird logic of like, they like you so they treat you badly, or they like you so they ignore you. Like, so you can't face the reality of what's happening. You have to pretend it's something more than what it is. Because if you face what it directly is, then you would have an issue with it, or you wouldn't overextend and place undue emphasis, imbalance on it, such that you would specify it. It would just be what it is and let it speak for itself. Connor's the guy who was down bad at the beginning, calling the chick at the grocery store. So he used you. Oh yeah, this is the same chick. He used you as the foreplay. Have dinner with one chick, foreplay, get a little footsie under the table or something, and then you, if he's not calling you, this must be a telemarketer. Like, why do we need telemarketer? Yeah, more information is bad. More options are bad. Like, reveal the nature of the process. Like social media. It's not social media's fault. You're doing the same thing. Oh, she does have a different ulterior motive. But again, what you're really ruled by, it's not the guy's fault. It's not your fault. Well, it kind of is your fault. It's the expectation. You're expecting something absolute and lofty and whatever. That's just not how reality works. So it's the expectation that's flawed, and you kind of dance around and you're controlled by it all the time. Oh, here we go. We get a little fan service yoga. Wait, but I thought the other chick he mentioned yoga, the blonde chick. So why? What, everybody does yoga in this movie? Let's get Jennifer Aniston doing yoga too. They're all in the same yoga class. So you're trying to tell me they're going to cheat on Jennifer Connelly and Jennifer Aniston? Like, bro. And you're the one posing the monogamous thing. Like, you could go into it and say from the beginning, I want an open relationship, and if you don't like that, then okay, forget it. Be direct about it. That's what an absolutist would do. Actually, they wouldn't, but still. Yeah, and all like these crackpot psychology things and rules. It's like, you want to be a half-mast subversive clown, or yeah, call them from your workplace so you don't caller ID won't. Like, you shouldn't be this obsessed and imbalanced about it. That shows you something's unnatural is happening. Like the honeymoon phase, like you have to try so hard you can't sustain it. You need a script, like, oh, that's artificial, but it comes from the mind anyway. Like, that's how society requires you to be dumbed down. You do it for the benefit of other people. It's like you have to pretend to be reading a script. It's like a meeting or a speech, but really, if it's all coming from your head, that's somehow a bad thing. Right? So you do it for their benefit because thinking is bad and being self-aware and Yeah, if you have, it's the unnatural imbalance of something. If you have to try so hard to do something, then maybe it's not what you really want. And you might think in this case, oh, she really wants it, but you think you do, but you want something that isn't actually there. You're imagining something better than what's actually there, right? You're have some idyllic standard. It's almost like a reverse straw man in a way. You have like this something you're putting on a pedestal versus reality, almost like a limerent siphon, except you're the victim of it rather than the practitioner. Film Critic explains reverse limerent siphons in movie reaction. Where it's kind of like you have so many options and standards. There's so many fish in the sea. There's 8 billion people, right? There's so many. You have so many options. So I have high standards. You can find anybody anywhere. Like, so why would you specify it and act like it's absolute when it's just exposure and variable and nearness? Like the limited options would make you think those options are better because you don't have a choice. And having more options would seem like, oh, it desensitizes you or invalidates you, but and you have to dumb down your senses to be your inherent true self, because otherwise you're a tame, trained animal, half-assed human function. I hate those double names, Kellyanne, Mary Beth. Look at him being cold, Sigma male. It's this unrealistic expectation thing, and it's like, just be direct, be honest, but you can't be direct and honest because society is based on artifice to create false absolutes to control you. See, oh no, don't break the illusion. How would you possibly know? How would he know exactly who she's talking about? She has like some PTSD about calling. Isn't that so romantic? She's so obsessed because he has low standards and doesn't realize his own power and self-actualizing her own power, and there's billions of people. Free yourself up to. Why does this guy know everything and know him so well? Look at that stare he gave her though before this, like making her feel so bad. Oh, you lied about a pen relevance to him. Like, really? Is that the worst thing ever? He was giving a glare. Bartender's buying you a drink. Something questionable there, and he's not busy doing anything. Although I guess they kind of qualified that because he's like the manager, so he's just helping out, but now he's gonna talk shit about Connor to swoop up for himself. You can be aware of the nature of the process, like everything everyone does is incentivized, but you only selectively apply it when somebody doesn't adequately overcompensate for it. But that's because they want to be direct and honest, but then you punish it. But yeah, it's kind of like the expectation. You're expecting something that isn't there. And yeah, just this understanding that everything is like a uniform fallacy. Like, there's a one-size-fits-all that all billions of people have to all do it the same way and the exact same result. And you're right, they would have to do it to create a contrived, controlled state of specifying the stimuli acting to one person and being, like a trained, tamed animal controlled by their base instincts. But yeah, honesty hurts, so you'll reject it, and you want to be fooled, you want to be controlled, but did they sleep together, maybe? Like the idea that everything has to be done uniformly in a one-size-fits-all way when it's clearly contrived. Would have more meaning if she wasn't just quoting the guy that told her that. Oh, this is going to dissuade her. That was kind of a good way to subtly intertwine the two, though, because we got a Quentin Tarantino moment. But yeah, there's like this deference to not self-actualization. I'm just going to talk over the whole thing. I don't even care. It's not bad, but it's just like there's so many fallacies that it reveals. Your standards are so limited. Like, oh, it's love, it's absolute, it's meant to be, and I met him in a random fucking grocery store. Aimless, mindless, defer, power. Like this again, universal one size fits all. All these anecdotal things, but then you don't hear what happened. You're doing it at a face value. They're happily ever after, but you don't know that. Like, they could have had fights, they could have cheated too. Like, nothing is perfect the way they're framing it either. But again, it's not a one size fits all. So that's the problem. You're looking at like what society expects or what other people did. Maybe that's not even what you want. That's the thing. You don't even know what you want. You're trying to achieve this imaginary thing that you expect or that's projected onto you. You don't even know. You might want to be a hedonist. You might want to live out in the woods. You might want to have an orgy. You might want to not have sex at all ever. You might be, how can you assume and project what somebody else wants? What if it's asexual? His offer was he didn't even want to take your number, basically. It's like the answer to stuff like this is just busy. Like, you're so busy with work and life, and you have so many options, so many girls, or so many everything. And he's saying I should go because he likes you. Not because he doesn't like you, but because he likes you. You see all of this reversal. Yes means no, and no means yes, and what a great logical thing. What could possibly go wrong? God, there was our second Quentin Tarantino. Bill Clinton is smart and sexy. Oh, really? We're getting a little Tarantino vibe here. Second foot shot. But like, why is it a bad thing to be known for your looks in a sexual relationship that's obviously relevant to looks? Like, oh, you only like women or men, whatever, let's say, in a sexual context for their looks. Well, that probably should be why you like them, because that's part of what that's based on, right? Not in your friends. Your friends could be whatever, right? You don't care about their looks because it's about the social element with them. But with the boyfriend or girlfriend, it's not shallow to care about looks, because is that not directly relevant to what that relationship is about? Like, you try to overextend, but yeah, it's like the freedom. If you had freedom to be with anybody and everybody all the time, open relationships and orgies and stuff like that, maybe it would open your eyes. Like, oh, it would desensitize you, and then you wouldn't be a tame, trained animal specifying it to one person, which is true. But you may question it or think about it. Yeah, treat me like shit. That's the secret to be with women. See, this marriage thing is so contrived. I mean, you maybe should have established this before 7 years then. Right, you just go along with it and honeymoon phase and you stay together, but you don't cheat on her. Married, I have hang-ups about that, and then they meet later and she's married to somebody, like, what? But just be direct and just ask. Like, why can't you be direct? You're just doing it to appease that earlier, that like, okay, I don't like marriage. He believes in a strong stance that he doesn't believe in marriage. It's just the government's way of getting $45, dude. He's already told you. So the construct of marriage is more important than the actual behavior and actions. Don't be nice to me, because that frees us from the contrived control of those expectations, and we can just have a positive relationship. So that's like kind of creating a problem out of nothing. If you're happy together, then what's the problem? This guy's with you for 7 years, but you think he doesn't like you. I mean, like all these little tricks in crackpot psychology, and like, sex is the stuff of animals. It's nature's way of inspiring reproduction, but you turn it into this big thing, and like, conflict, and you dance around it, and you're always conflict of contrivance, and always struggling, coming up with theories. And maybe the reality is that all of that stuff is just contrived because you're trying to create an illusion of something that isn't actually there or absolute. So you're struggling against something. Oh, now he's using her as the rebound chick. But he really let that happen. He just let Jennifer Aniston leave. It's like somebody who has conviction versus somebody who actually believes in something, like, okay, I think marriage is a construct, versus you, just a mindless sheep who doesn't believe in anything, who just goes along with whatever's established and preconceived. But remember, like, you never have to try that hard if something is natural or sound. So when you're trying to force it into specification. Like, you know, you specify the something that's just an inherent natural process to one person only. So you have to try so hard, place undue emphasis, sense reality itself. All these expectations, all these ways to control and be controlled. You are an adequately trained and tamed animal in society, ruled by the stimuli acme, and so we shall expose it here. Once evidence. It's just so. I may as well do it like this because that is one of the key. It's like you want to be fooled, basically. You want to be controlled. See, now she's maybe being more direct. Think, oh, that's too direct, but why not be direct? Why do you have to dance around it? But no, what? Yeah, see, now you're having higher standards and stuff. So the thing is that, okay, we'll stop it here. Maybe like, okay, we can go back a little. So we'll start. You're trying so hard to maintain it. So again, it's like the honeymoon phase, or in like an early relationship, you have to buy them gifts and suck up to them and be, you know, all this kind of thing. If you have to do all that, it's not going to maintain it. You're trying to create something that isn't really natural, a kind of imbalance, overcompensation. It seems appealing, but it's the basis of artifice, at least, right? It shows you it's something it's not something really sustainable. So over time, that's why issues happen too, right? You're creating like this idyllic thing, but then you're trying so hard, it's not natural. And that's kind of how society works too. You kind of shape yourself to appease others, right? Like social engineering, you often don't realize it, so you don't think about it, but the other aspect is the fact that basically you kind of want to be controlled. This is why you're on RBO protocol. If somebody's direct and honest and upfront, that would seem good, right? Like, okay, to the point, whether you want it or not, just be direct and then, you know, save time. And time is the basic value of absolutists above anything else. Don't dance around it. Don't be deceptive. Don't have to pretend. Don't have to overcompensate. If you want something, do it. If not, don't, right? Just be direct. And honest and self-aware and in control and choose for yourself. But the reason why people like to be controlled is because they're trained like that, they're groomed like that from birth by rule by omission protocol. And what that means is basically that's how society does it. Society gets you without your consent. You don't choose to be born. You don't choose to be indoctrinated before you're old enough to think for yourself. You don't choose your family. But those are the greatest bonds. Like, oh, you love your family so much that you didn't choose. It's basically like Stockholm Syndrome, even if they adequately overcompensate. Even society and government, they don't qualify themselves inherently to you and, go through every question of their authority and accountability. No, they're already established, and now they use their unqualified empirical authority to kind of bludgeon you and control you and bribe you. And so it's this idea that you're constantly being violated in a way, right? That nothing is based in choice and logic and reason and sound process. It all exists by bypassing your critical thinking. Right, and so that's the same way that people want it, I guess, in relationships then, because you overextend. You say, you want to, if somebody's direct, that's bad. If somebody's honest, that's bad, because you're not used to it. And so you'll project something negative, like, oh, that's somehow lazy. You want it to be special treatment, a false absolute, because you're used to that false absolute pretense to control you. Like, oh, it's God doing it. Oh, it's, it's something, like that, and those false absolutes are posed just to control you so that you don't question them or self-actualize, right? Or think for yourself. So you would project something bad if somebody's direct or neutral, or if they don't want anything, oh, it must just be that they're failing to achieve the thing that you think they want, and you'll project it. Or if they're direct, oh, that's lazy or that's bad somehow, because you're used to, oh no, you want to be controlled by it in such a way that bypasses your critical thinking and then ends up achieving the same dependent, overextended, pretense incentive at half-mast. And so what that means is you're basically in a position to, basically, you're controlled by it, so you kind of crave the same form of it, right? Directness and honesty and self-awareness and thought, all of that is bad, because if you did do it, then it would invalidate the whole process. Then you wouldn't put up with it. Then you wouldn't specify a process, right? It makes you harder to control and be at peace with the fact that you are being controlled and the whole subversive state that you're in, right? So it's kind of like the cognitive dissonance of society. Or any contrivance state, unqualified empirical authority, if you question it or think about it, then that's bad. So how do you deal with that? Not that there are questions about it or flaws or things to be held accountable actively or anything like that. The issue is if you think about it. If you think about it, that's the problem. Thinking is the problem. You're the problem if you think. Not the fact that there are actually problems that you could observe or just, again, be ignorant to, like ignorance is bliss. So it's the same thing that you would have an issue with if you were just simply aware of it, but you choose not to be, or you're distracted, whatever. So you treat that as a positive, like, oh, distraction, overcompensation, even though the process is the same underneath. And then you also have the ability to consider that again, you kind of want to be fooled, right? You want to pretend something is more than what it is, but the act of doing that is only a way to control you and reduce it to half-mast state, lesser of the same measure. So it's kind of like the inherent hedonistic tendency, right? You pretend it's absolute so that you can practice it in a more limited way, like with only one person. So that might have some functional basis to it, but that's not how people acknowledge it. So acknowledge what it really is. It's just a way to control you, tame you, train you like an animal, create a family system, arguably a positive thing for society still to control you on an individual basis you might reject. But there's no reason to, but the reason why you pretend like it's an absolute is actually, you pretend it's absolute just so you can be controlled by it and specify what would otherwise be a free, inherent, variable process. And in fact, that level of control is so great that you end up overextending and people end up projecting it even where it isn't there, right? And like others have to justify somehow against it or it's projected. And so the other layer to this is the fact that, again, people are used to rule by omission protocol. They're used to being controlled in a subversive state, in a way that bypasses their consent, bypasses their critical thinking, right? Like when they're indoctrinated in youth or everything. So they're trained their whole lives to be subservient to functionless, unqualified empirical authority, to do things just because, not because of sound reason or thought or self-actualization or process, to not really have a standard or measure of self-awareness to kind of go along with and try to appease contrivance, kind of not the contrivance is accountable to you or a standard, but you are accountable to it arbitrarily. So then you would reinforce the contrived state of any error, stigma, effect, non-credible human history. But the other aspect of that is the fact that basically, you're in a position to just... It'd be funny if I like watch stuff like this on half speed, and then that's the way I'd be able to do this better. But whatever. This topic just brings out the stimuli-acme a lot. Like, you keep posing it as an absolute, but you see how it's not in practice. Like, oh, it's love and sacred, and then 50% of marriages end in divorce. So it's some of this idyllic language that we can shut down, right? Like, you'll say kind of lofty things, but then this is what the absolutist does. You care about observable practice. You care about results. So like you could say all those things like, oh, is morality objective or inherent or absolute? You could say it is, or you could say it isn't, or you could observe it isn't. But either way, it relies on our subjective laws and subjective police and law enforcement. Sometimes they make mistakes, sometimes they mess up, sometimes the real criminal gets away. So it's not absolute. It comes down to us, right? It can't be objective or absolute or inherent because it relies on our subjective action to try to uphold it, which changes from era to era, government to government, society to society, right? What's a crime here might not be a crime somewhere else, different time period, different country. So it's clearly subjective and malleable and transformative. So it doesn't mean it's bad or you shouldn't do it. It means it's not absolute. So the results fly in the face of those things supposedly being absolute because you have to actively practice it. Sometimes people fail and struggle or whatever. And then the other aspect of it is the fact that observable practice, like on an everyday basis, like always love is meant to be as a soulmate, but then, how come, again, whether it be divorce rates are high or you have fights all the time or you have all this struggle, it's like you're struggling to maintain something. In that case, it's based on inherent hedonism, half-mast, non-invasive self, but you're being controlled by it. So that's really what it shows. Your tendency, the inherent desire to suggest a tendency, you just want to have sex. You just want to, that's the natural state. Nothing really to it. Nature's way of starting reproduction, etc. But then, society tries to tame and train you in a certain way. And then you specify it to one person and you have kids and stuff. So you're in control of all this, but you are pretending, you're kind of acting like you're not in control of it. It's like this uniform thing that you have to do. You're like a Truman Show life. You're a white picket fence. You have to do everything on rails. Right, so that is basically how your life is engineered, that you have to do things in a uniform way. But think about two scenarios. What if you just choose something different? Is it not possible to do that? Or like it'll be framed in false reality, like, you're doing that just to be different. Or even the flip side of it is the fact that if you do it this way, you you do it a different way, or it just doesn't apply to you, right? You're asexual or something, but so you're trying to appease society. Or it's similar to like the long-form postulates effect often is that like, it would alienate people, but it's the true full value of the same process that they're valuing, but they're controlled by a half-mast. So if they consider it that way, they would no longer be controlled by it, or they specify it to the ego or the person, right? But like if you value it, then value it all the way. If you don't, then don't. But instead it's dependent over standard presence, half-mast, non-invasive self. So what happens is it alienates people, because you have to like dumb everything down to have them be at peace with it because they're artificially controlled by it. But what if you don't care about that true value inherent? You're trying to lay bare the nature of the process, basically. So I felt like I was maybe talking too much in that reaction, but whatever. It's a good topic. Certainly, whatever. This one chick is a bit of a nutcase with obsessing over all these relationships, but... Or yeah, it's like when the married chick is with you, she's your wing woman, and it's like, does that mean she has credibility? Like, she ended up with one person, or does that mean she just settled for someone? And it's like, who has more game? Like somebody who's happily married, or somebody who's sleeping with a different person every night or every week? Like, you're kind of more in practice with that, and it assumes like, what is it that you actually want?